Every year, 48 million Americans fall ill from foodborne illnesses, and thousands tragically lose their lives. Shockingly, many of these dangers don't come from restaurants or street food, but from a place we trust the most, our very own refrigerators. Have you ever refrigerated bread, potatoes, or even garlic thinking it was the safer choice? What if the very foods you thought you were protecting are actually turning toxic right inside your fridge? Could this simple mistake be silently damaging your health every single day, without you even realizing it? This isn't just another food safety tip. Today we're uncovering the hidden risks that most seniors don't realize, and showing you how a few small, simple changes can protect your health, your taste buds, and your precious independence. Before we dive in, tell us, have you ever stored tomatoes in the fridge? Comment yes or no down below. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss another life-saving health tip. Ready to rethink your fridge habits and safeguard your health? Let's dive right in. 9. Potatoes. A risk hiding in plain sight. You think you're keeping them fresh, but you might be cooking up a chemical risk. Potatoes are a staple in almost every kitchen, and many people naturally assume the fridge is the best place to keep them fresh longer. But here's the hidden danger. When raw potatoes are stored in the cold temperatures, the starch inside them begins to convert into sugar much faster than normal. Now, that sugar doesn't just make your potatoes taste strangely sweet. When you cook these sugar-loaded potatoes, especially when roasting, baking, or frying, they can produce a chemical called acrylamide. Acrylamide has been linked to cancer in several animal studies and is currently under investigation for its potential effects on humans. While occasional exposure might not be alarming for seniors whose bodies are more sensitive, consistent exposure could pose unnecessary risks. And it's not just the chemistry that changes. Potatoes kept in the fridge often turn soft, grainy, and lose their hearty texture. Many of my patients have told me, "Doctor, my roasted potatoes turned oddly sweet and mushy." That's not just bad luck, it's a warning sign. A common mistake I often see is people placing potatoes in the fridge or sealing them tightly in plastic bags. Both practices speed up spoilage and chemical changes. Instead, store your potatoes in a cool, dark, and dry place like a pantry or cupboard. Keep them in a paper bag, mesh sack, or even a breathable basket to allow air circulation. Avoid light and moisture. Both can trigger sprouting and nutrient loss. Have you noticed your potatoes turning oddly sweet after roasting? Share your experience in the comments below. We'd love to hear your kitchen stories. And speaking of foods that lose their magic in the cold, what about bread? You might think refrigeration keeps it fresh, but the reality might surprise you even more. Let's find out next. 8. Bread. The fast track to stale and moldy. Think refrigerating bread makes it last longer? Think again. Many of us, hoping to stretch the life of a fresh loaf, instinctively pop it into the fridge. But here's the surprising truth. Cold temperatures actually speed up a process called retrogradation, where the starch molecules in bread start to crystallize. This causes the bread to lose its moisture rapidly, turning it dry, hard, and far less enjoyable, sometimes overnight. Even worse, when you remove refrigerated bread and expose it to warmer air, condensation forms. This creates the perfect environment for mold to grow, even if the bread still looks fine on the surface. And mold isn't just a cosmetic problem. Some molds release mycotoxins which can be harmful, especially for seniors with weaker immune systems. Over the years, I've seen many people surprised that their bread became tough and moldy so quickly. But it often traces back to the fridge. One common mistake is placing an entire loaf directly into the refrigerator without any protection or slicing. This traps moisture inside and accelerates staleness and spoilage. Here's a better way. If you plan to eat the bread within 2 to 3 days, keep it in a sealed container or bread box at room temperature. If it'll take longer, slice it first, then freeze it. That way, you can defrost only what you need, and your toast will still taste fresh and delicious. Do you usually refrigerate or freeze your bread? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear your tips too. Now, if you think bread doesn't handle the cold well, Just wait until you see what happens to onions. The next one might truly surprise you. 7. Onions, moldy mess in the making. The fridge might be slowly ruining your onions, and your other groceries too. Onions come with their own natural defense, a dry, papery skin that helps them stay firm, flavorful, and fresh. But when you pop onions into the refrigerator, that protective layer starts to break down. The cold, humid environment causes onions to absorb moisture rapidly, turning them soft, mushy, and, before you know it, moldy. And there's another sneaky problem. Onions are incredibly aromatic, and when kept in the fridge, their strong odor can seep into nearby foods like butter, milk, and even fruits. I still remember opening my fridge once and realizing that everything, yes, even my butter, smelled distinctly like onions. Not exactly the flavor you want in your morning coffee or a bowl of fresh berries. Many people store onions close to potatoes, thinking they belong together. But did you know that potatoes release moisture and gases that cause onions to spoil even faster? It's like setting up a perfect storm for decay right in your pantry. The best way to store whole onions is in a cool, dry, well-ventilated place, like a mesh bag hanging in your pantry. Keep them away from potatoes and out of plastic bags to allow air to circulate naturally. This way, your onions stay crisp, flavorful, and free from unwanted mold. Have you ever opened your fridge and smelled onions and everything? Let us know your funniest fridge story down in the comments. We love hearing from you. And speaking of foods that hate the cold, you might be surprised to learn that tomatoes, yes, juicy, vibrant tomatoes, suffer a similar fate when refrigerated. Let's explore why, up next. 6. Tomatoes. From juicy to tasteless. Love, sweet juicy tomatoes. Cold air is their worst enemy. Tomatoes are one of nature's sweetest gifts, vibrant, juicy, and packed with flavor. But when you store tomatoes in the refrigerator, their story takes a sad turn. Cold temperatures interfere with the natural enzymes inside the tomato, enzymes that are essential for the ripening process. When this ripening stops, so does the development of that rich, sweet, and slightly tangy flavor we all love. Instead, refrigerated tomatoes often taste bland, watery, and disappointing. Their beautiful firm texture fades too, leaving behind soft, mealy flesh that just doesn't satisfy. And it's not just the flavor and texture that suffer. Tomatoes are a fantastic source of vitamin C, an important nutrient for immune support. But chilling speeds up the breakdown of this valuable vitamin. Even worse, you might notice the skin starting to wrinkle, making your once vibrant tomatoes look tired and old, even if they're technically still good. Many people make the mistake of tossing green, underripe tomatoes into the fridge right after purchase, thinking they'll ripen safely there. Unfortunately, the cold stops that ripening dead in its tracks. The best way to keep your tomatoes delicious and nutritious? Store them at room temperature, stem side down, away from direct sunlight. If you accidentally refrigerate them, no worries. Just bring them back to room temperature before eating to revive some of the flavor. Team fridge or team countertop for tomatoes? Drop your answer in the comments below. We can't wait to see which side you're on. And if you think tomatoes suffer in the cold, just wait until you hear what happens to garlic, a superfood that can lose its power if stored the wrong way. Let's dive into that next. 5. Garlic. A superfood sabotaged. Storing garlic wrong doesn't just ruin it, it could become dangerous. Not just for its rich flavor, but for its powerful health benefits. It's packed with allicin, a compound known to boost the immune system, support heart health, and fight inflammation. But when garlic is stored incorrectly, especially in cold, damp conditions like the refrigerator, it begins to lose all that magic. Cold temperatures cause garlic to sprout prematurely. You might notice green shoots poking out from the clove. Not only does this sprouting make garlic taste bitter and rubbery, but it also signals a major loss of its precious allicin content. In other words, the very reason we love garlic, for its healing properties, gets stripped away. And there's an even more serious danger. If chopped garlic is stored in oil and refrigerated without proper safeguards, it can create the perfect conditions for Clostridium botulinum bacteria to grow. This bacteria produces a deadly toxin that causes botulism, a rare but life-threatening illness. I'll never forget one patient, Mary, a spirited 73-year-old woman who loved homemade garlic oil. She had no idea that keeping minced garlic in her fridge could lead to danger. After falling ill and spending days in the hospital, she shared her story to help others avoid the same mistake. To keep garlic safe and powerful, store whole bulbs at room temperature in a dry, well-ventilated space, like a pantry in a mesh bag or basket. If you need to prepare minced garlic in advance, mix it with vinegar or lemon juice instead of oil, and always refrigerate it properly and use it quickly. How do you usually store your garlic? Let us know your favorite tips or lessons learned in the comments below. And speaking of foods that are surprisingly sensitive, wait until you hear what cold air can do to another favorite: coffee. Let's explore that next. 4. Coffee. The flavor thief. Is your morning coffee tasting flat? Blame your fridge. Coffee is one of life's simple pleasures, rich, aromatic, and comforting. But if you're storing your coffee beans or grounds in the refrigerator, you might be sabotaging your perfect cup without even realizing it. Coffee is hygroscopic, which means it naturally absorbs moisture and odors from its surroundings. When you place coffee in a fridge full of fruits, vegetables, and leftovers, it acts like a sponge, soaking up every stray aroma. Instead of a clean, bold brew, you end up with a strange, dull taste that just doesn't satisfy. And there's a bigger problem. Repeatedly opening and closing the fridge door causes temperature fluctuations. Each time, tiny bits of condensation form on the coffee beans or grounds, leading to clumping and faster breakdown of essential oils. These oils are where many of coffee's antioxidants, like chlorogenic acid, live, offering heart and brain benefits. When they degrade, you're not just losing flavor, you're losing health perks too. To keep your coffee fresh and delicious, store it at room temperature in an airtight, opaque container, away from light, heat, and moisture. A dark pantry or a cool cupboard is ideal. Avoid the fridge, and definitely avoid the freezer unless you seal it extremely well for long-term storage. Do you keep your coffee on the counter or in the fridge? Tell us in the comments below. And maybe even share your favorite brew style. Guess which food is next? It's even worse. Honey, that sweet golden healer, has its own secret story. Let's discover it next. 3. Honey, nature's miracle, misstored. Honey never spoils, unless you refrigerate it. Honey is one of nature's most perfect foods, rich in antioxidants, antibacterial enzymes, and natural sweetness that can last for decades if stored properly. But when you put honey in the fridge, things start to go wrong. Cold temperatures cause honey to crystallize quickly, turning it from smooth and flowing to hard and grainy. Many people panic, thinking their honey has gone bad. But actually, crystallization is a natural process. It's just accelerated dramatically by cold. And there's a hidden danger. When honey crystallizes, it traps tiny pockets of air inside the jar. Each time you open and close the lid, moisture from the surrounding air sneaks in, creating the perfect conditions for fermentation. This not only changes the taste, making it sour and unpleasant, but also breaks down the natural enzymes that give honey its powerful antibacterial properties. One common mistake is storing honey in the fridge alongside milk, butter, and other refrigerated goods. Honey doesn't need to be cold. It needs to be kept sealed tightly at room temperature, away from sunlight and heat sources. If your honey has already crystallized, don't worry. Simply place the jar in a bowl of warm, not hot, water, and stir gently to return it to its silky golden form. Have you ever seen your honey turn hard and grainy? Tell us about it in the comments below, and don't forget to share your favorite way to enjoy honey too. Now, if you thought honey hated the cold, wait until you see how bananas, those cheerful yellow fruits, react to being refrigerated. You'll want to hear this next part. 2. Bananas, a tropical tragedy. Those black-spotted bananas in your fridge, not as ripe as you think. Bananas are tropical fruits, built to ripen naturally in warm environments. When you put them in the fridge, something strange and sad happens. The cold air halts the natural enzymes responsible for ripening, freezing the process midway. On the outside, the skin turns dark, covered with black spots that make the banana look overly ripe. But inside, the fruit often remains firm, starchy, and underdeveloped. Even more concerning, refrigeration damages the natural compounds like dopamine and flavonoids inside bananas. These are powerful antioxidants that support brain function and protect our cells from oxidative stress. Two crucial benefits, especially as we age. When the cold disrupts these nutrients, bananas lose much of their health-boosting magic. If you accidentally refrigerate bananas, don't worry. They're still edible, just not at their best. And here's a helpful tip. If your bananas ripen too quickly on the counter and you can't eat them in time, peel them, slice them, and freeze them. Frozen bananas are perfect for smoothies, baking, or simply enjoying as a cool treat on a hot day. Do you prefer your bananas firm or fully ripe? Let us know in the comments, and maybe share your favorite banana recipe too. Now, if you thought bananas reacted badly to the cold, wait until you hear about olive oil, a pantry staple that transforms entirely when refrigerated. You won't want to miss this final, eye-opening food mistake. 1. Olive oil from heart. Healthy to harmful. The healthiest oil can turn harmful if you refrigerate it. Olive oil is often called liquid gold for good reason. Packed with heart-protective polyphenols and healthy fats. It's a staple of the Mediterranean diet and a true friend to our hearts and brains. But when olive oil is stored in the fridge, it undergoes stress that silently damages its most precious properties. Cold temperatures cause olive oil to solidify and, worse, accelerate oxidation when the oil repeatedly moves between cold and warm environments. This oxidation process breaks down polyphenols and healthy fats, diminishing the very nutrients that make olive oil a powerhouse for heart health. Instead of protecting your arteries and reducing inflammation, poorly stored olive oil can actually promote the opposite: inflammation and oxidative stress. Another hidden issue: when refrigerated, olive oil becomes cloudy and thick, making it difficult to pour. This often leads to accidentally using too much, adding unnecessary calories to your meals, something especially concerning if you're watching your weight or managing heart conditions. To preserve olive oil's golden benefits, store it properly. Keep it in a dark glass bottle, in a cool, dark place like a pantry or cabinet, away from stoves and windows. Never refrigerate it unless absolutely necessary for long-term storage, and even then, handle it carefully. Where do you keep your olive oil? Pantry or fridge? Share your answer in the comments below. We love hearing your kitchen habits. And now that you know how some everyday storage habits could quietly sabotage your health, let's wrap up with a few simple takeaways you can start using today to protect your food and your well-being. Today, you've learned how the fridge, while protecting some foods, can quietly ruin others, stripping away nutrients, taste, and even threatening your health. Simple habits like where you store your potatoes, honey, or olive oil can have a profound impact on your energy, your heart, and your independence. Each small adjustment you make in food storage is an investment in your strength, your vitality, and the precious moments you spend with the ones you love. Someone you love might be unknowingly making these dangerous fridge mistakes. Please share this video with them. It could make a world of difference. If you found today's tips helpful, smash that like button, leave a comment about which storage mistakes surprised you most, and of course, subscribe for more senior-focused health insights. Stay healthy, stay strong, and we'll see you in the next video.